6 weeks away from kickoff, actual toe to leather, but just 1 day away from Miami going to ACC kickoff, of course, as the Atlantic Division took the podium today on Wednesday. Miami and the rest of the Coastal on a Thursday. Welcome to Canes Live right here at the Voice of College Football. Please, before you get settled, just like the video, get it out of the way, hit the like button. We appreciate it. Why does it matter? YouTube rewards the likes ratio being high, gets the video out into traffic. So please help us there. Leave your comments and questions in the live chat, and keep in mind the super chats on. Cam Underwood's here, of course. He makes the show go on Wednesday night, and catch his work and the rest of the staff there at State of the U. Hey, Cam.
Hey, yo, what's going on?
Not too much. How are you?
I'm good. Just noticed that I got my dish detergent stuff over my shoulder there on that little table. But hey, it is what it is. Not my dishes, my laundry detergent. But hey, yeah, so you guys can enjoy that in my Grinch ugly sweater over my shoulder there as well. Because people obviously look in the backgrounds, and I don't know why that snapped in my head. But hey, anyway, here to hang out for a little bit. Good. Yeah, you got the sterile background going on. I was thinking about switching the desk over to have the sterile background, but
got a little transition going here. So
that's what it is.
Yeah, we're a bit under construction and transition, so nothing fancy. All right. Yes, Miami going to the podium with, of course, Mario Cristobal first and foremost, with 3 players selected. I have not looked them up. So who is representing the Canes on Thursday?
It is Tyler Van Dyke, Jafari Harvey, and I forget the third player.
Well, I will look it up.
I'll see if I can scroll back on my timeline and find it. Justin DeTavio also has the keys to the Twitter account, and he does his all 22 film review in there, and so it gets a little bogged down. Or those are interspersed with some of the other tweets. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. Will Mallory is the third. So Jafari Harvey, Will Mallory, and Tyler Van Dyke being the 3 players going. So, yeah. And I think that makes sense. Like, I mean, obviously you're going to have the head coach, duh. You're going to have your star quarterback, duh. You have a 5th-year senior, with a COVID year tight end, who should be one of the better tight ends in the conference, if not the country. Okay. And then you have your best returning edge rusher, who's also older than like a Leonard Taylor or a James Williams. If you're going on talent, I think that, yeah, maybe you would have started the process of making like a Leonard Taylor. Well, either one, but making one of those 5 stars from last year's class, taking the step to put them in front of cameras to make them into a household name. But also maybe they just need another mango season before they're ready to have microphones in their face all the time, because, love them to death in general, but South Florida football players are not always the most eloquent, in interviews. Situations sometimes you have to smooth out the edges, as it were, just to make them palatable to the masses and things like that. So, and I'm not like, miss me with the respectability politics stuff. I'm not talking about that, but I mean, like, you can be Marshawn Lynch and talk that talk, and everybody knows what you mean. But like, that's still even a little bit more polished than your normal 17, 18, 19-year-old kid.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, Harvey, he's a guy who, I mean, hey, maybe they're taking that, if I flip it, maybe they're taking that step with him and saying, hey, he's been here for a few years. He's going to be one of our top defensive ends, even with getting guys in the recruiting rankings and the portals and things like that to come in to this team. And then obviously, Mallory and Van Dyke. So it makes sense.
Leave the comments and questions in the live chat. Yes, the coaches' selections for these media days / as it's called in the ACC kickoff, of course, they want to represent with some of the best players on the team, but it's not always just the best players on the team. You got to represent both sides of the football, first and foremost. You also are looking for recognition for leadership abilities, qualities, good citizenship combined with the playing skills. And then, as Cam says, you also want to bring a contingent that can represent from a communication standpoint, can represent the team and the program well. So that's what leads
and
to
you
those.
Also get that if you watch like the post-game pressers they do those virtually now. Maybe I think they started letting us back in the room last year, but they put those up on YouTube and everything, and like some people are good interviews and other people are not. You know what I mean? They're just very, oh hey, like you made that game save and play. Like walk us through that. I mean, coach called cover 2, and I saw the guy coming across. So then I read my keys and I went up there and I made the play. Oh yeah, so like how was it in the locker room and everything? I mean, like we were excited. It was a big win and everything. Yeah. Like that's not necessarily what you're looking for from like a media event standpoint. And I'm not saying that the hypothetical, I mean, they're actual players, but the hypotheticals in the situation are that. But some guys are, introverts, extroverts. Some people are people, like myself, hey, woo, I almost said something I didn't want to say on here. And not that it was bad. It was just it was regarding the secret day job. I didn't want to say that or anything, but yeah, some people are people. Some people are good interviews, and hopefully you're able to do that. And everybody's talking about Miami, so you want to have players and coaches that speak well about Miami because they're going to be on there tomorrow. I believe it's in the middle of the day, and also the ACC network is doing a everyday tour through the conference, and I believe ours is coming up on August 11th, if I saw that correctly, but don't quote me on that. That might be inaccurate.
Meaning kind of a road show, like we're showing up at camp, going to talk, going to look at the team.
No, it's going day by day, but I think it's just going through like it's all day things. There's going to be some games. There's going to be some, like featured talk on the TV shows and all that kind of thing, but just like focused on, and yeah, every school gets their own day, which is pretty cool, since you have a network and everything, but yeah.
Well, I will say, I'll give my former network a bit of advice here, just contrasting, and I've got it all DVR'd right now, and I'm going to watch it and so forth. I caught a little bit today, and I've been watching the SEC more so. There's a huge contrast between the production value and quality given to the ACC network and the SEC. You're watching two different levels of.
Yeah.
The ACC's fine, but the SEC looks like a network broadcast. It looks like ESPN is just on the SEC network, and the quality of commentators, the whole deal.
Right, and ACC network looks like Raycom Sports from a visual standpoint. You know what I mean? It looks like a lower tier regional network.
It does. To both of those events as well.
Yeah.
But regardless, we will go through the comments and questions. Certainly based on your knowledge base and what you expect out of these things, you're not going to get a whole lot out of your team and what's being said tomorrow that's really going to move you in one direction or another. I can't imagine. But that said, what would you like to hear?
I mean, I just need the cafecito from Cristobal. I need all of that, talk that talk, make me want to run through a wall type stuff. You know what I mean? Get me hype. I just want to hear hopefully good things from the players about the transition, and just any insight into what the differences are between the previous staff and this. And we've seen it on the recruiting trail, for example, Nathaniel Joseph from Edison, who was committed to Clemson and is now committed to Miami, said in so many words, I've always wanted to be a Hurricane, but they said I was too small and they didn't even talk to me. That's a change. You know what I mean? From, Manny Diaz and company saying, nope, we're not even going to communicate with you because no. And hey, if you make that choice, fine. I disagree with it. But if you have your standards, say, this is my choice, boom, no, I'm good. Don't talk to me. Or, like, leave me alone. We're not going to talk to you. And then Mario Cristobal and staff come in here and like, that's the guy we need to go get. That's a clear paradigm shift. And so I'd like to see what other things along those lines there may be from the players. Side. Obviously, Cristobal is just going to be like, hey, I'm the guy, I did this here, I did this there, and we're bringing this show down the road back to, Coral Gables. But from like the players who have been there, and all three of these players who are going have been with both the previous and current regimes, seeing from them maybe what is a little different.
Absolutely. That's well put. as it typically is from you. But I would say the same thing. If I would want to hear one thing from the players, it would be, okay, you've experienced a Mario Cristobal regime now for 6-7 months versus what you experienced for a few years. Yeah, and what has been the difference? New King God is upset with me apparently because last show on our Florida State show, I simply made the statement, and I would believe this to be true. Even Cam, you would acknowledge this.
Say what you say.
I said that Florida State in 2017 was more competitive with Alabama in its loss to Alabama than Miami was in its loss to Alabama last season. That's all I said.
That was the DeAndre Francois got his knee exploded.
Yeah.
Game.
It was a 17-7 game in the fourth quarter. It was a pretty good football game. That's all I said.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that that's accurate, that they were more competitive. I think that we had chances, but in the key moments in that game, and there were few of them, and they were early because they got out of hand real quick. But in the key instances, Miami was measured and found wanting. You know, there was that that safety that wasn't called, the play before they hit Jamison Williams for that 94-yard touchdown pass. You know what I mean? Like the holding in the end zone, like the edge rusher, clear as day. Referee right there.
Yeah, you're going to remember
whistle doesn't
more
say
of those
anything.
kind of things than me. Yeah.
But if you go back to the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you look through, there were like 2 or 3 key moments in that game. And I hate to make the comparison, but going back to 2017, it was like when Miami made the ACC championship game. And against Clemson, early in that game, you call a double move for Jeff Thomas. He's butt naked wide open, but you don't hit him with the ball. All of a sudden, that's a 10-7 game. Or we might have even been up 7-3 if you hit that pass because you dial it up. I was there in Charlotte, right? I saw with my own eyes. They were going. It was the perfect 2K view or the old NBA Live view because I was in the corner kind of, and they were going away. And I saw that move, and I saw, and you didn't hit him. You did not put the ball on him, right? That miss changed the game. There were a couple like that on both offense and defense, but they happened in the first quarter. And Alabama was in the game against Miami last year. It was very, from a high school standpoint, St. Thomas Aquinas, like you make a mistake and they're putting that shit in the end zone, not right now, but right now, before you have a chance to breathe, blink, bleed, anything. All of a sudden, boom, it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. And they were all early and they were all in a compressed amount of time. But in the key moments, Miami wasn't there. And to Mark's point, in the Florida State game, Alabama in 2017, that was 17-7 in the fourth quarter. So I begrudgingly accept and admit, that Florida State in 2017 was more competitive with Alabama. But hopefully, and this is the key with having Mario Cristobal, Miami will be competitive and win some of those games down the line. I'm not saying that we're going to beat all 10 top 10 teams this year. That's maybe a little bit, orange and green colored glasses, but we're building towards being competitive and winning those games.
Yeah, if Miami comes back from College Station having lost 31-27, you're not going to be happy with that. Miami fans should not be happy with that. But at the same time, that's going to be a much different. And let's say Texas A&M turns out to be what we expect them to be: 9-3, 10-2, a top 10 to 12 team in the country, something in that range. That's going to show tremendous growth over what we've seen the last few years. And the same thing with the trip to Clemson. You want to win the game. You want to be competitive. You just flat out want to win the game. And are not going to be happy with a loss. But take it all into context. Okay, if Clemson's back to Clemson, 11-1-ish, and we played them to a 31-24 game, well, that's much different than what we've seen the last 5 years.
Exactly. And I've been watching a lot of – I love simulation games, in case you didn't know this about me.
That surprises me.
Civilization, like city builder thing. So I've been watching this city builder game, this guy who is a city planner doing it on this video game.
Well, that's
like
different.
building a city grid,
Yeah.
and like the whole
That's kind of cool.
I find it to be interesting. And it's a phrase that he says a lot that I've heard, but I think it applies here. Do not let perfect be the enemy of good, right? So to Mark's point, I don't want a 31-27 loss in College Station. I want us to go in there and kick their ass and win by 1 or 100. I don't care, right? But in this scenario, if we're competitive within a touchdown in a place like that, that is a step forward. So don't let perfect be the enemy of good when good is getting you towards where you want to be, right? So just take that all into account. And no, I'm not being defeatist. No, I'm not saying, okay, we're going to I'm not conceding anything, but I am being a little pragmatic. And if that is the result and that plays out in the way that we are hypothesizing, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And also, in contrast to 2017, because I saw some people trying to have revisionist history about that, don't let the result, wash over everything else, right? Because it's like, oh, well, it was Kane's Cut-Ups, I believe, is the Twitter account. They put up a video of that touchdown to Jeff Thomas to start the second half of that game when Miami was trailing 7-6. Against an 0-6 Carolina team. I'm sorry, a 1-7 Carolina team on the road, one of the worst teams in captivity. Had no reason with that being a game, and that was a game that we only won by 5 points, right? So in here, it's the inverse of don't let a perfect be the enemy of good. Don't let that result blind your judgment either, But we are taking steps towards where we want to be, and hopefully those things come to fruition. Really quickly before I go on to whatever comments come next, there was one comment about Florida State fans and Florida's fans. So I forget who it was, but he said Florida State fans believe that they're going to beat Mario Cristobal in the first game that he will have coached against them in Hard Rock Stadium this year. And then also Gator fans believe that they will have more talent than Miami when we play in 2 years' time. Number one, I don't believe that Florida State's going to win. I'm still incredulous to the fact that they did win last year. But you have somebody who blows the coverage on 4th and 14, and that's how you're able to hit that throw. And then they ended up winning, and then them winning that game got us what we see now. And I think that we're ready for, to start another streak and get some big revenge because, yes, I know that losing that game did get the whole athletic department restructured, and especially at the football side. But we don't accept that. So we're going to go handle that business. In terms of Florida and the amount of talent on the roster in 2 years' time, Miami's recruiting at such an elite level, and they're adding guys through the transfer portal. I think it's going to be a wash, if not more on to Miami's side. Florida does have a higher blue chip ratio currently, but with the way that Miami is adding talent, and remember, there are no scholarship limits this year for recruiting purposes, as long as you do not exceed 85 concurrent players on the roster at one time. So if you process guys out or guys decide to leave because they're not going to play or the coaches don't like them, and which happens every year, right? I've been with SB Nation for going on 12 years now, right? Every single year, there's guys who elect to go somewhere else. That's going to happen. You might even see more of that. But now you're not going to replace them with Joe Schmo. You're going to replace them with probably a blue chip guy either in this class or a blue chip guy from another class from another team who wants to come down here. So in that, I would say at a minimum, it's going to be Miami on par, or Florida and Miami on par in terms of roster talent. But I would lean in 2 years probably to have more talent across the roster with the Mario Cristobal coached team than Billy Napier. But that's just me.
So I got to say, as a guy that who makes predictions and does a fairly decent job, I do struggle with, and I think everybody does, because I've actually surveyed the athlons of the world in the past to see how conservative are these magazines versus how much are they going out and being able to get ahead of the curve and foresee that Michigan State's going to go from lousy in the Big Ten to boom, 10-2, going to a major bowl. How often do they forecast those things? And what I've seen is and I'm going to make a bit of a jump to make an assumption that I think these publications, they're really good for the information that they provide, but they want to stay conservative. And that's why they're going to give you a playoff of Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and fill in the blank, Georgia, I guess, most years. And they're going to be right on 2 or 3, if not all 4 of them. And they can kind of wash their hands of that and say, we didn't make some outlandish pick that Iowa State was going to make the college football playoff and look silly. Nobody can blame us if, okay, Ohio State didn't make it. Well, okay. So they're typically like, we'll give you the cookie cutter. And if you look across the publications, they're all giving you pretty much the same 4 out of 5 teams. But in looking at it, and I've thrown this stat out a few times, I looked from season to season, 3 consecutive years, and COVID kind of messed this up because nobody played a full season. 18 to 23 out of the 65 Power 5 teams either increased or decreased by at least 3 wins from one season to the next. That's like almost a third of because for me, and I think a lot of people, it's difficult to see, Louisville, they were 7-5 last year. Look at the schedule. And they'll probably go like 7-5 again. It's difficult to see who's going to ascend and who's going to descend. It's difficult not to look at last year and what's happened the last couple of years and just think it's going to happen again. And because the elite have just stayed there, I think we assume, because I've surprised people by that number. I've said, how many schools do you think have either increased or decreased their win total by 3, at least 3 games from there? They're always like 4, 5. No, 21 last year, and they've been like, what? Because we all have this perception. Well, the top 4 or 5 teams always stay the same. Well, that might be true, but everybody else is in a lot of flux.
Yeah. And again, 2-10 to 5-6. Is that 3-game improvement. So it's, I think the 4 or 5, they're right because they're thinking at the top. They're thinking of the teams that, they watch, or, like, okay, who are we talking about in the top 25 world? But like, it extends down to 65 teams in the Power 5. And like, even again, 3-9 to 6-6.
Yep.
That is +3, or, inverse of that, 8-4 to, 5-8. That's a 3-game, swing. So, when you say it, I think that finally the synapses start firing and things start connecting. Yeah.
So what I was leading to there is when I look at Florida State, Miami, I'm trying to be able to project ahead. But what I see is Miami's a top 15 team in the country. I see Florida. I think Florida is one of the bigger wild cards in college football for me. And I think LSU is another one. Like, I think they have the talent to do something, but the schedule is difficult, of course. Then Florida State's, until proven otherwise, I think they're still in that 40 to 50 range.
Yeah.
Something like that. So that's where I'm at with those 3 teams and how they're going to finish this year. All right. So you made mention before we started to record, Cam, that the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, this is his first appearance at ACC Kickoff, taking over for a long time ACC commissioner John Wolford, and he steps into it. And some people are somewhat critical of his early decisions and rhetoric publicly.
I'm one of them.
Okay.
I just, I didn't watch the whole entire thing, but I watched the snippets and everything. And, I did read some of the recaps. What's going on, Fred Langston? Thanks for watching. Be sure that you guys hit the like and subscribe. But the thing that stuck out to me was like, I think that the ACC is on par with any other conference, Big Ten, SEC, everybody, and everything in every single way. It's just the revenue part is not the, is a little bit different. And I'm like, yeah, but like, that's the point. That's why you're in this situation where, you're having, like we had a round table at State of the U where we talked about what the future of the ACC is going to be. This is why people asked you. I saw Joe, I don't know if it was Ovies or Giglio, one of those dudes, asked directly to the commissioner. He said, so what's the plan and what are you doing and how are you feeling with being lapped financially by the ACC and SEC? Literally verbatim. Go look it up. This is what he said. And the woman in front of him, black lady, a reporter, I mean, like, because it was ballsy to say that, but he was like, yo, so yeah, y'all are getting lapped. I mean, we as a conference are getting lapped by these other two conferences. How you doing? How you feeling? And he was like, I'm good. Like, everything is great. Yeah, except for that. That's existential for you. Like, and the ACC, like, what money?
That's what you need.
Cream, cash rules everything around me. Hello. Like, you cannot just obligate that. You can't just hand wave that out and be like, everything is perfect. We're on par or better than every other conference. You're talking academically, athletically, socially, everything else. We're on par or better. It's just the finances are different. So why the fuck are the finances different? Go find the money then. Like, if the ACC is better, then why is the financial package not better? Right? Because if this rhetoric that you're pushing is true, then where is the value? And value in the professional setting is in terms of money. And let's all be very clear, college athletics is a professional fucking setting. So what are you talking about, bro? But he's, I mean, like, everything but that. That is like, Matt, I used to be an educator and I took education classes, and there's a pyramid called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay. And it's built up on things that need to be actualized or fulfilled for a person to move to the next level and be self-actualized, to be able to be their best self. So their first thing is like lodging and food and the ability to live. That is baseline on Maslow's hierarchy of need. If we're flipping Maslow's hierarchy to the ACC, figuring out the financial component is existential level 1 foundation. You cannot go anywhere up from there. Right? You cannot. But this is what he said and everything. Also, in this thing, his press conference today, he said he was very confident if Notre Dame decided to join a conference, football, it would be the ACC. I struggle to see where his confidence comes from. I've made the case for Notre Dame to join the ACC. In football, they're a member and everything else. We fit, in so many different ways. But obviously, there's, the geographical for the Big Ten works for them. The finances, obviously, but Notre Dame being a national brand and everything, they have longstanding history. Playing all teams. Michigan Notre Dame games. Legendary games I've been to. I went to the ones in Michigan Stadium, not in South Bend. But there's academically, in the Big Ten, like socially a little bit, like there's a lot of reasons why that would fit also. So while I can make and have made a clear case for Notre Dame to join the ACC in football, do not for a second think that that's a slam dunk. Do not for a second, just like you're saying, okay, well, yeah, the revenue thing, it's not the same as the big teams, or the big conferences, but yeah, everything else is the same. Again, that's existential for you, and extending that out. And this is why I started it this way. Getting Notre Dame to join the ACC as a full member, including football, is existential. Now, I saw it leaked that Notre Dame is looking for $75 million a year or more from whoever gets their television rights that when they expire in 2 years to stay independent, because they could sustain themselves, and like that would be a little bit more than what the SEC and Big Ten media share splits are. I think Big Ten is like 62 and SEC is like 57 right now. Right now, at this current moment. True.
Oklahoma, Texas, USC, UCLA.
Exactly. So those could and probably will go up. But if you're kind of splitting the difference and saying, okay, 75. I asked the question, I quoted it on my Twitter, Underwood Sports, if you're not following me. And I said, cool, since this has been leaked, that 75 is the number, what's the real number? Right? Is it really 75? And whoever comes and says 75, cool. Is 75 now setting a baseline? Is 75 now leveraging where you think that the SEC and Big Ten are going to go in terms of financial compensation? Then you're trying to forge that, or, kind of set a level for them, being like, cool, if they get an average distribution of 79 when in those two conferences when their thing comes due. Great. So now we're going to supersede that. Maybe we can be a couple million under, because Notre Dame's only getting 25 a year, 27 a year right now, which is a lot of money, but definitely not the kind of money that they can get, right? So they don't need to be at the top. But then again, that's coming all straight to them singularly from all of these things. So, that's another component to see. But yeah, in terms of the commissioner, I am not impressed at this point. And I need to see I need to see a plan for the future, right? I need to see that foresight, right? Because you have to both manage today and tomorrow in this kind of situation. But you cannot 100% stay living in today, only exclusively, and have blinders on and not see tomorrow, right? So the last thing I'll say on this point, it's similar. Again, I taught high school for 14 of my 15 years teaching. I've worked in black schools, mainly inner city schools, Deerfield Beach High School and Miramar High School. And I had a lot of students who had never been to college, or nobody in their family had been to college. So in my choir program, I made it a requirement by December 1st, you needed to have taken or signed up for your standardized tests and either applied to a college or met with the military recruiter. So you have a plan to go forward. Now, we're going to have a great time here. Look, you're going to go to homecoming, prom, grad bash. We're going to have concerts. We're going to sing great music. We're going to do all these things, and you're going to enjoy this. But you need to have a path forward, because when the end of this year comes, life is waiting outside that door, right? And it might not be this year for the ACC, but I need you to have a plan, sir. And I need you to be having not even plan those conversations. They cannot be on your calendar in the future. If you have not already put pen to paper or fingers to the keyboard to write a plan and start saying, okay, these are the scenarios and things, and have had meetings about that already prior to today, it's over. It's a wrap. And I don't see where I should have, or he is giving anyone the confidence in him to run this conference in that way, in the window of major reconstruction, it looks like, in terms of conferences and things like that. So those last 12 minutes are to let you know that I am not impressed to this point.
So I'm going to defend him on this level, not necessarily defend him as an individual, but defend anyone who would be in his position that just took over the conference. It's just like being president, let's say, and being either handed a situation that's in great shape or a situation that needs a lot of help. So for him, he was handed, by most people's account that know, a bad TV deal. So he inherited a bad TV deal. Now, what I don't know, I would have to really study and think about it, look up some things, whether that's a bad TV deal that's a fair TV deal, and the ACC just doesn't have the components and the entities within the conference, as many as the Big Ten and the SEC, to have demanded, because of the lack of eyeballs, a better deal, or if the ACC just truly negotiated a bad deal. If you follow me there.
I do. If we're centering the ACC, I think there are more positive factors that should have maybe been part of the calculation than were actually, because I think that they didn't really leverage everything that they could have, especially basketball, and I know that there's a difference in the financial hierarchy between football and basketball. There's a big gap, and then there's a gigantic gulf between basketball and everything else. But yeah, I just think that it wasn't. I think it's the latter. It's a bad TV deal. Period. Full stop. Not a bad deal under the circumstances.
Yeah.
But that's my view of it.
Thanks for the super chats, everyone. Let's get to the first one here from Mario Cristobal himself. No, Mario Cristobal. Goat. Keep up the good work, Mark and Cam. The ACC is a joke.
Well, if it's a joke, we should win it this year.
The next one, let's get to it right here. Of course, Falcon Rex.
Yo.
Super sticker. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Then we've got Falconer X chiming in once again. Great to have Cam back.
I was back last week. I took 1 week off 2 weeks ago. But hey, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. If it gets us a super chat, they can say whatever they want.
305.
All right. Falconer X, appreciate you being here, of course. Well, the 1305 this time. I thought that was going to be a 305. Show me the money, ACC. Let me put it this way, Cam. So we've got the SEC doing what it's doing. The Big Ten makes a huge move a couple of weeks ago. Geography, I think, is still part of the picture, but it's obviously been superseded by a lot of other things as these conferences look forward. If you're the ACC, geographically, you're boxed in, except for West Virginia would be right there.
Mm-hmm.
But that aside, regardless of what are your priorities, besides, of course, who brings eyeballs and money and football prowess to the conference, if you are Jim Phillips and you're looking at the SEC and the Big Ten already way up here and going beyond that, pushing forward, what do you do?
Again, Notre Dame number one, Washington, Oregon, and whoever else to round that out. Those are two of the bigger national brands. This is the same thing that I said. This has been my firm thought all the way through this process. Obviously, I mean, Oregon is like fifth in the number of games that have had like 1 million plus concurrent viewers in the last whatever years. Miami is right up there. I think it's 1 game difference. Yeah, it's like it was an interesting list because a lot of people watch them. But you know, if you add in a Notre Dame, which I've talked long and hard about twice, you know, add in major brands like Oregon and Washington. And again, I know that there's pending or potential legislation in those states or moves from legislators to try to get the state schools to stay together, i.e. Oregon State, Washington State. I don't care about little brother. Bye. But yeah, I would say get those three, maybe a West Virginia. You know, maybe you look at a program that you think can grow into something major, you know, like a Houston, you know, and they've teetered around for a little bit, but maybe they take that full step forward and things like that. That would be my personal view of things, but yeah.
All right. Good stuff from Falconer X right here at another super chat. Appreciate that. Sir Cam, what do you think of Notre Dame and Miami? There's a interesting contingent together. Going to the Big Ten or the SEC is a package deal of sorts.
I just don't think that package would ever be put together exclusively. You know, I get the thought experiment, but Notre Dame's going to do what Notre Dame's going to do. And then because they are independent now and they are the national Catholic university of this country, you know what I mean? Like it's just a little bit different. So they're going to make their move, and their grant of rights is also up. Not grant of rights, but their TV contract is up sooner. Because the ACC's grant of rights still goes for another decade or 12 years or something. So yeah, Notre Dame, I think, is going to make the move. I just don't see that pairing being put together for like by themselves for any of this. I just don't see that.
Do you remember your source for what you decided about TV viewership?
I don't. I will have to look it up. It was on Twitter a while ago. Yeah, no, it was a couple of weeks. I will have to like really look at that one. And maybe I got that wrong also, but I know that Oregon and Miami were in the top 5 of whatever that metric was. Yeah, but it was directly about viewership. I do know that.
Yeah, so I'm a big TV ratings guy, and without looking them up, used to go, get an email and be in my inbox every time I walked in on Monday morning, would show TV ratings for all the games and so forth. And now I'm referencing a sportsmediawatch.com, and they've got every network game, and I mean down to ESPNU, network game for 2021, and I think they go all the way back to maybe 6 or 7 years ago. They go back to 2012. So they've got week to week TV ratings, viewership, and just about every week in the 21 season, the Big Ten and the SEC are just the top 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
Almost, not every 4 to 5 games, but so anyway. We've got Falcon Rex back here. Yes, the ACC needs to get the Big Ten fertilizer money. How about Scott's or Miracle Grow as ACC turf sponsor?
I mean, hey, that'll work.
All right. We got, I think I missed someone here. Don't want to do that. Kane 1, we appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you so much for that. Or miss. Just passing through to say I appreciate what you guys do by providing us Canes fans with great content on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for that. And we appreciate you appreciating us. So thank you for that. Byron, expectations this weekend with commitments on July 23rd. Aguero, Kirkland, Bonsu, Bryant, Olas.
All right. I was waiting for a question like this. So thank you very much, Byron. I don't think all 5 of them are committing on the same day anywhere. Jonel Aguero, 5-star safety. I believe it's like Miami and Georgia have been at the top of his recruitment. I think he's probably trending towards Georgia. There was a report today that Peyton Kirkland, the offensive tackle from Orlando, Dr. Phillips, was going to go to Texas, and there was like a prediction on 3 or like inside info thing about that. But then he took to Twitter and was like, fake news. So he said that first by itself. And then he came back and was just like, why would I go to Texas? With like a GIF and everything on there and like another thing. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, either this is a hit dog hollering because they let the secret out of the bag, or you're just doing the most. But yeah. So Peyton Kirkland, Malik Bryant, Orlando Jones, 4-star linebacker, seems like maybe Miami. So, hopefully that follows through and everything. Jaden Bonsu, safety from St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey. He was supposed to commit today, something like that. But then he tweeted yesterday, he said, I'm not committing tomorrow. And so he's slowing down his process again. It was looking good for Miami. And then maybe Ohio State is punching back in that recruitment and other teams as well. So, all is not lost, but it's just going to be a little bit of a longer journey. Olaus Alanen, the 6'6" offensive tackle, the Finland native, like the country of Finland. Yeah. He is was thought pretty much to be coming to Miami like last week, but things are seem to be trending towards Alabama. Several predictions, even Steve Wiltfong, the national 247 guy, who usually doesn't drop a prediction in there unless he's heard directly from a player or something like that. So that's one where, okay, like maybe that's one that also seems things have changed just a little bit. I think that was all 5 of those players. So definitely I think that Malik Bryant is the one to look for, and that's on Saturday. He was going to do a group commitment. It was like him, Peyton Kirkland, and another dude from up that way. And then Malik Bryant was like, nah, I'm doing my own commitment. So holler at me individually about where that'll be at, what time that is, and everything. So yeah, I mentioned Aguero, Kirkland, Bonsu, Bryant, and Olaus Alanen. Olaus is his first name, just to be sure, because all the last ones are last name. All the other ones are last names. So yeah, Jonel Aguero, I think, is Georgia. Peyton Kirkland, I think, is not Miami. But the other question was, hey, do we maybe in this, push to the weekend, try to get Kirkland in the class now, since it seems like Alanen is going towards Alabama? That's potentially possible. There's also there's a 6'8" tackle kid Landon something, who's taking a visit that Miami's going to probably try to push on. Monroe Freeling. There it is. That just came back to me. Yeah. So there's another guy that Miami's probably going to look at as well. So I would say probably in the driver's seat firmly for one of those four, because I'm going to take Jaden Bonsu out of the mix because he was supposed to commit today and he's already said he's pushing back his time. So I say firmly the floor should be 1 out of 4. And then, hey, I'm not counting anything out because we've seen literally Marin Cristobal and staff already work miracles. Jaleel Skinner, Nigel E. Kelly on last signing day and getting us some of the other guys in the boat. Like I mentioned at the top of the episode, already been flipped. Nathaniel Joseph from Clemson and a couple other guys, all the 5 stars in the boat and things like that. So, we're going to be okay for sure. Like, hey, we have missed on some guys. That's going to happen in the world of recruiting just because you're not going to get every single player that you want. But of the 4, I think that Miami's in a very, very good spot with 1 and a possible of those 4. And then anything past that would be money.
Back to the conference realignment talk. Our guy John here is making a statement I can't necessarily agree with unless I'm not understanding, saying that Miami's AD would never let Miami go into the Big Ten. He'd get them SEC money. Well, let's make no mistake about SEC money, Big Ten money. It's the same money. It's the same level money. It's the same.
Yeah.
And would the AD have that type of weight?
No, probably not. That's probably a university president thing. Like the AD would have his input and everything like that. But yeah, the university president and board of regents and everything, they would be the ones really making that firm and final decision.
Absolutely. All right, we will try to pick up 1 or 2 other questions to close out. If anyone has anything, you can drop a super chat. That'll catch my eye immediately, but otherwise, just looking for anything else that we can pick off here. All right. And so this time next week, we're going to be staring at a few days away from fall camp starting, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be not too far in the distant future. I forget the date off the top of my head. Just had a bunch of other things going into my head. So I forget that one. But it's going to be not too far in the future because, we're barreling downhill towards the season. But, the main thing is, and I always say this, and the group chats I'm in and everything, I say this, just get through camp with no injuries, or hopefully no major injuries. You know what I mean? Like there was the year Ryan Williams got hurt, and then we started Brad Kaya. Now that ended up working out, but like your starting quarterback going into the camp gets injured in the final scrimmage, or you know what I mean? Like nothing like that, please, would be great. The question before this one was, what do I think the chances are versus North Carolina? Good. I mean, we got to go head to head against them and win. But if we play the way that I think that we can, I think that we should have a good chance, but we have to execute. To Brian Taylor's questions, do I see us landing any American Heritage recruits this cycle? American Heritage recruits being Brandon Ennis, wide receiver, no. Damari Brown, son of Selwyn Brown, who I worked with at Miramar High School for many a year. Shout out to Selwyn. He's a cornerback, just like his dad plays safety, I believe. But that's a guy that Miami is fully engaged in recruiting. Damari Brown, that is, 4-star corner and everything. So other than those, and then Mark Fletcher, I think, is potentially weighing an option to stay in Florida as opposed to going to Ohio State with Ennis. So that's another one. So again, maybe, but there's a long ways to go between now and signing day. Damon Wilson is the 5-star edge from Venice, and Cormani McLean is the 5-star corner from Lakeland. one of Alabama's top targets, Malik Muhammad at cornerback, just committed to Texas literally as I was queuing in to come into this show. So I think that Alabama is going to pull out all the stops towards Cormani McLean. Plus the fact players from Lakeland Senior High School just don't come to Miami. It's like Palm Beach Gardens, Dwyer. Like there's certain schools where Miami has not had recruiting success. And I know that the staff is different and I know everything, but Polk County is a tough place for a Miami Hurricane to go and recruit. It just is. So I don't think that there's anything on that. Again, the Wilson kid is the 5-star edge from Venice. Everybody in America wants this kid. Miami's been pushing really hard, I think, behind the scenes for this guy. His name's starting to get out. I've seen a lot of chatter about him and everything. I don't know anything past that in terms of his recruitment, but hopefully Miami is able to continue to push for him because when I clicked on the film after a little bit to go back through his junior highlights, Damon Wilson is the goods. So, yeah, I mean, 6'5", 235, coming off the edge, looking the way that he looks, doing it. I would welcome him on my roster today, tomorrow, and twice on Sunday.
Nice crowd tonight, folks. So we topped out around 320, 330, something in that range. What you could do is just to grab some other college football fans that you know. I'm sure you have some friends, family, whomever, social media acquaintances that love college football, Miami in particular. So imagine everybody grabs one or two folks, and we've got 500, 600, 800 in here next week. Why don't we do that? And bring them on in next Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. As you see on the banner there, we've got a Discord that if you go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, sign up for the Discord, you get my picks, you get media contributors selections on the games coming up here in just about a month. You get exclusive live streams. And of course, the Discord, which is a live chat, basically what you're participating in right now, 24/7, 365. Otherwise, you get on over to State of the U with Cam. And what do you got going on this week?
Bunch of stuff. Obviously, we're going to have some recaps and thoughts from ACC Kickoff tomorrow. I've carved out the time to be able to watch that. May or may not live tweet that. I know that I do have the quickest reflexes on the timeline, and I do like to do those things because if I live tweet it, then I embed the tweets, then it already does the job for me. But I might try to do that a little bit differently, depending on what is said and things like that. So we have that, position previews, player profiles, game previews, the all 22 film review from Justin DeTavio. Have another new series from Rob Weaver coming up, looking at the state of the U athletics. So that's a preview to that, which should be coming up sometime soon. I had to actually publish those things and a couple other things. So yeah, just be sure that you rock with us, stateoftheu.com, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at The State of the U. My personal Twitter account, like I said, is at Underwood Sports. And to Falconer X's question, how many of us will, I think, be at Miami?
Flip, I guess, already counting the win there.
Hey, I'm with it. Claim things that are not though they were, so says the book. Yeah. How many of us will be at the Miami Florida State game November the 5th? 1. Falconer looks like 2. And we'll see whoever else is in the chat. So that's the game. Always try to step out of the press box and go sit with the people, because that one, just like some other things, man, that just it lives in my heart in a different kind of place. But hey, either way, we're still gonna have great content for you over at State of the U. We'll see how that game plays out and all of those things, and yeah. But I mean, most of you should be there, and hey, if you need tickets, then you can go to UM or MiamiHurricanesTickets.com, because I'm not giving you tickets, but single game tickets should be on sale already, and everything. But yeah, I mean, that especially for Florida State, the stadium's going to be packed out. Even when Miami was bad, and everything, the game was always packed out. So, you can always find tickets. There's people who have tickets. We did unofficial thing, Canes to Canes ticket exchange kind of a thing years ago. I just retweeted every person who added me with that hashtag and was just like, hey, this person has who needs, y'all work it out between y'all. And that seemed to go well or whatever, but you can always find the tickets, bro. And I hope that you guys go, and hope that you guys go to a lot of games, because I think it's going to be a good show. I'm excited to get back onto the Hard Rock Stadium Entertainment Complex campus with everything all built up. The F1 track, spoiler alert, guys, they don't take that up after every race. Like, that lives there now. So, you got the F1 track, you got the Miami Open tennis stuff, you have all the things and development that they're doing there and around and everything. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see that. And then also, hopefully, the football on the field is good and entertaining and successful for the Hurricanes. So, hope that you rock with us all the way through, that you show up to the stadium just like Falcon Rex asked. And yeah, I'm done talking. So, I guess I'll see you later.
Folks, think of it this way. The better numbers we have, the more likely that this is going to continue for a long, long time with Cam and myself. So 300 plus tonight, but it could be 6, it could be 800, it could be 900. It doesn't need to stagnate at 300. So please bring some college football friends with you next week, Wednesday, 7 Eastern, right here at the Voice of College Football. Cam, thanks for making it happen.
No problem, guys. We'll see you.